Good morning, precious men of valor. Good morning, precious women of valor. Once again, welcome to the Leadership Excellence for Women by Women talk show. Today, we have a great woman of God, a great speaker, a great author that is going to edify us about a subject that so many of us struggle with, a subject that makes so many of us to miss our purpose, the reason why we were created on earth. A subject that makes so many people to start something and then they don't see any return into it, any benefit to it after investing so much of their time, their resources, to the point like they start doubting and wondering what is going on. So today we are really glad to have SHIKU MWANGI, and we will be discussing about the subject on discovering your purpose. Take on a problem and find a solution. Good morning, SHIKU.
Good morning, Prophetess Mercy. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being here. And before we get started, I would like to quickly introduce, should I say Pastor SHIKU this morning?
Yes, Pastor SHIKU
Okay.
is good.
Okay, I would like to quickly introduce Pastor SHIKU to our audience. She is the president and CEO of Effective Global Training. She's a corporate and spiritual thought leader who stands in the gap in business, faith, and entrepreneurship. A seer with an eye for details to see disorder and offer solutions that brings growth, expansion, and elevation. She's a team developer who builds and equips unified and sturdy teams through her tailor-made training program. Pastor SHIKU is also a writer who expresses herself through pen and paper. She uses her writing skill to connect to the world with creativity and relevance. She has authored several books: Nugget for Effective Leadership, which is a book of reflective quotes for leaders; Teach Me How to Pray, a book that teaches and guides you to pray using the scripture. By the way, I really recommend that book. I have it and it's great. Reflection on Dominions, a devotional to pivot and position you to a place of power and authority. And finally, Reflections on Wisdom, a devotional to challenge you through pattern and broaden your thinking capacity to bring about solution and change. Her books can be found online on Amazon and on her website, www.effectiveglobaltraining.com. Pastor SHIKU is also a pastor, of course, and a worshiper, transforming the lives of many through the gift of teaching biblical principles, worship, and songwriting. And for those of you who will be interested to buy Pastor SHIKU's books for yourself, even for a Christmas gift, I would rather gift a family or friend member with something that will be useful to them. And I truly recommend those books. And you can find the link at the top of this video, where you can go on Amazon to order the books, or also on her website. So everything is up on the video, and please take some time to go in and do some shopping. Those are the type of shopping that I call effective shopping. So, Pastor SHIKU, I know that we read about you, but we would like to know a little bit more about yourself, like things that I didn't talk about, and that you could edify our viewer about. Like, what type of leaders are you, for instance?
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. As you've had, my name is Pastor SHIKU MWANGI, and a lot has been said about me. What I can add is I come from a family where my dad is a pastor. So I followed in my dad's footsteps. And my mother is also a minister of the Word of God. So I think that's where my grounding, most of the groundwork was done, was when I was growing up. And I really honor and appreciate them for all that they did in bringing me up. I did not know I would end up being a pastor, but I thank God for that. And I love leadership because I have done a lot in the kingdom of God. And I've also worked in the marketplace. And I got to realize, there are many leaders out there and there are many leadership conferences which are good, but most of the time leaders don't reflect on themselves. That's one of the reasons why I wrote Nuggets of Effective Leadership, which basically is just little quotes that you can read and reflect and think, I'm a leader. How am I doing this? Am I connecting with my people? Am I getting through to them? Because most of the time we think leadership is just a bossy position. I'm in this position because, I have the leadership skills or I have the education and the qualities, and then you just boss people around. But it's more of connection and connecting with your team. So I'm the type of leader who, if I talk to you, I'm not going to tell you how to lead your people, like do this, do that. I'm going to ask you to reflect on yourself, on your temperament, on your qualities, on your character, on your strength, on your weaknesses, and then use that and apply it in your leadership role.
Wow, this is amazing, Pastor Shiku. This is truly amazing, especially at this time, where things have changed so much with the coronavirus, where the traditional way of doing business, which was like 101, even public speaking, conferences on the marketplace, going to an office and, interacting face to face. Corona came in and changed all of that. And each one of us has to now stretch themselves to learn new way to communicate with their team virtually, new way to manage their team, and even start new projects from beginning to the end virtually. And this is very important for each one of us to know about those concepts and principles. So I truly, truly recommend to our viewer to take some time to order this book. It will help you. Even if you are not a leader yet, but you aspire to become a leader, you aspire to become a manager, a director, or an executive director, or even to start your own business. And not only that, even today, we are both servants of God. Even a servant of God in the church, to learn new skill. You are never too old to learn. That is really my concept. Until death, I will be learning. So I truly recommend the book to our viewer. Now, how did you become an author?
Well, I've always loved to write. Even when I was little, I'd always write. I love pen and paper and writing. And I express myself better in writing than in talking. So it's always been something in me, but I've never really thought about publishing my words until about 2-3 years ago. And I felt God was shifting me and calling me, to walk in my full potential and capacity. And I sat there waiting for speaking engagements, and they were not coming. And then, with COVID, that shut the door, the little doors that were opening now began to shut down. And I thought to myself, I have a message that God has given me. I have a word in me. I have revelation in me that I want to get out there. How can I get it out there? And I remembered I love to write. When I compile everything that I have and write a book. And the wonderful thing about a book is going to go places that you've never been, you've never thought of, you've never imagined. It's wonderful when I get my report from Amazon and it tells me that somebody from the UK bought my book. I don't know who that is. But if I was waiting for a speaking engagement, I would never go to where that person is in the UK. But my book made it there. So I just decided to work with my passion of writing and what God has given me. And then I looked at the times and the seasons of COVID, and I said, I'm just going to package myself, book after book, and get the message out there.
Wow, this is amazing. We're going to talk about what you said earlier on. You just said we will talk about it later on. But then you just talk about your book, which is great. Now let's talk about purpose. because that's really the theme of our talk show of today, discovering your purpose, take on a problem and find a solution. Could you please define in your own word, what is a purpose?
Purpose is what you are called to do, what you are designed to do. Purpose is passion, what you're passionate about. But above all, purpose is something that brings you fulfillment. And purpose is something that when you do it, it impacts somebody else. It brings impact and it brings influence and it brings about change and transformation in people's lives. That's what purpose is.
Thank you so much. And just to continue in that same line, do you think that somebody can simply walk into his or her purpose, or do you think there is a process in discovering your purpose?
I think it's both ways. You can walk into it and just find yourself doing something, and all of a sudden you discover, wow, I am making an impact. I am an influence. I am transforming lives. And sometimes you have to discover it. And discovering is a little bit harder because there'll be a few hits and misses. You know, you try this, you try that. But that's why it's called discovering, because you're trying to discover. So I believe it's both ways. You can find yourself there and be like, oh, I don't know how I got here. I just found myself here. But you can find yourself in a place where you sit down and reflect and say, okay, let me discover, what am I good at? What am I passionate about? Or what problems bother me that I need to find solutions?
You are so right, because you see, this is where I believe many people struggle to identify the problem to take on. And they end up wanting to imitate problems that other people are taking on. Let's talk about this. What advice do you have for such individuals that are just imitating what other people are doing?
If you define a problem is like an issue, okay? Problems can be the same or problems can be different. You can be going through one problem and going through another, or we can be going through the same problem. But even if it's the same problem, yours might be more intense than mine. Your reaction, your emotions are different from mine. So you cannot say it's the same thing. We are on the same page. It's really hard because it's yours. I don't know how deep yours is. And the way you're taking it is different from the way I'm taking it. There are some people who have problems and they're just in their own world, they don't care. There are others who encounter problems and they get into a world of depression. So now when you take that meaning literally of a problem and you're trying to copy somebody, you're trying to do what they're doing, you don't know how they got there. You don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know their emotions. You don't know their ups and downs. You cannot just copy somebody. Because the moment you're copying somebody, you're trying to be like that person. You're not made like that person. You cannot handle issues like that person. You are you are unique. So you need to find your own problem to solve and walk into your purpose. You need to find something to do. It could be almost the same as this other person, but because it is yours, defined in your own way, it's made in your own way, you're going to do it a little bit different. Even if you're doing the same thing, I believe there's something different that you're going to do. So if you try to copy, you're trying to be like that person. And if you try to be like that person, you're going to try to be like them today, tomorrow, next week, next month, the whole year. Can you imagine the whole year trying to be like somebody else? That's a lot of work. So you're going to burn out because that's not what you were called to do. That's what that person was called to do. So you have to take your own unique self. Find what it is that you need to solve. Find where God has called you, or where your passion is, or where your purpose is, and pursue it yourself. because you don't want to go around year after year trying to be somebody else.
Wow. We are really going deep today. We are really going deep. Again, for people like that, what step do you think they can take to ensure that they are taking on a problem that is specific to their purpose?
What I can say is they need to just sit down and reflect and figure out what is it that they are passionate about. If they cannot really find a passion, what is it that really bothers you, that you find is a problem? And if you look around and every time you see it, it just burns something in you, you have a burden for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that means if you do have a burden for it, then you can come up with a solution for it.
Yeah.
So my advice would be, you just have to think on your own mind, not somebody else's mind, not what other people are doing. Look at what you're passionate about, what you like to do, or look at the problems in the society, what really itches you or bothers you. Let's say, for example, you see homeless people and it just bothers you, and you just feel pity on these people. Then maybe go through that route and find out, how can I help these people? Is it giving them meals? Is it finding solutions? How did they get there? How can we help them? Is it a job that they need? Is it someone to help them get back on their feet? Then that's what you are called to do, but don't jump into somebody else's wagon. You have to dig deep within yourself and find out what is it that gives me passion, or what is it that I see and I feel like there is a need and something needs to be done.
Wow. You are talking and I was taking some notes, because even me, I'm learning a lot this morning. And when we said earlier on, discovering your purpose, take on a problem, I stumbled into this quote: your purpose will be the same. And I believe you talk about it. When you define purpose as, what were you called to do? What were you created for? What brings you a fulfillment? And while you are working on your purpose, it brings fulfillment. It brings impact. And again, it's a two-way, because when you talk about fulfillment, it's fulfillment for yourself, because you are walking into your destiny, into your purpose. And while you are walking into it, you should see an impact, a benefit, which is now on the other side, the recipient. There will be impact on the recipient. There will be change on the recipient's life, which is people that you are impacting throughout your purpose. Now, so you define purpose as that. But this quote is saying that your purpose will be the same, which is exactly what you are saying. But your assignment will change. Do you agree with that statement?
I do agree with it. Your assignment may not necessarily change. I can say, what I can change about it, I can say your assignment can change. And let me give an example. I was reading a story of a pastor, I think in Indiana, and he was pastoring for several years. For some reason, his church closed down. He didn't go into details why. And him and his wife decided to open a tattoo parlor, where they make tattoos on your body. Now that's crazy, because you're a pastor and then here you are opening a tattoo parlor. But he said people who come to get tattoos, mostly they're going through a season in life, a season of pain, a season of joy. They want that tattoo in memory of something. Wow. So when they sit on that table, they begin to talk, because it's a process. It takes a while, an hour, 2 hours. So he said people began to open up. He started ministering to people. He said he has led more people to the Lord in that tattoo parlor more than in the church. He has officiated marriages as a result. His purpose is still the same, but his assignment changed from the pulpit to the tattoo parlor. So yes, your purpose remains the same, but your assignment can change.
Wow, what a testimony. And I think what also a humbling testimony to really call believers to be careful. And again, sometimes your purpose may make you look awkward, may make you look not fitting, may make people to not understand you, may make people to even judge you. But this is, what has been always my my motto for my life. I don't argue with people, especially when it comes about my faith, my work with Christ. The result will speak. The result will speak. And again, I believe God is really rearranging things in the spiritual realm with what is happening for the past 2 years. The way that people used to function, even as believers, we used to function, we used to run with the word of God. We are starting to see a new dimension of who God is, and him making us to do things that are unusual. Why? Because we are getting toward the end time, and it's becoming urgent for us to know our purpose. It is very important, precious men of God, precious men of valor, precious women of valor, for us to make sure that we are walking into our purpose. Because again, like Pastor Shiku said, and I've mentioned it, your purpose is not just for you. You were created to make an impact. You were created for an assignment on earth. And you do not want to end your life without accomplishing what you were created for, what God created you for. So it's very important with the testimony that Pastor Shiku just shared. This is a pastor, and God knew it, because God knew that he needed to come out of his comfort zone. And this is where, also many people also struggle with, because when you're talking about purpose, just like you said, the assignment may change. So when it changes and you are not, prompt to follow or to realize that your assignment has changed, you may still want to walk into the old assignment when in fact that time of that assignment is over and a door has opened for a new assignment. I will get back to that toward in the next few questions. Finding a solution. What strategy should you advise people to use in finding and implementing a solution?
Look at the need that is there. What is really needed? Find out what has been done. Did it work or did it not work? And if it did not work, why did it not work? So you have to study that need and then begin to dissect, okay, this need, how can we go about it? What do we have available that can help us with this need? What can we look for that can help us with this need? Is it people we need? Is it finances? Is it materials? So it's a matter of sitting down and evaluating this need, evaluating the resources that you have and the resources that you need, evaluating what has been done, what failed and what did not work and why it did not work.
Mm-hmm.
Then sit down and strategize a solution and say, we can follow this route, work with this person, work with what we have, and then progress. You're not going to solve the need immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it takes progress, a day or two, a week, a month, a year. So don't be pressured to solve this solution in one day. It is a daily progress. Mm-hmm. Just make sure every day you do something to help find a solution for that need. Because every step you make, at the end of it all, you're going to come to a complete and final solution.
Glad that you said that, Pastor SHIKU, because many times people see a solution as something abstract. Whereas, like you said, you start from, assessing what is needed, finding what is already done, and then see now what is available for you to do. As a project manager, I would like to add, to that, because by doing so, you make the solution now to become like a goal. And you cannot achieve a goal without, setting up some project management skills that you may need. And one thing that I always tell people is to always remember, in setting up your goal, and I believe you've touched on that, you have to use the acronym SMART. S for specific, just like you say it. It is not everything that you're gonna want to do. You have to be specific in your goal, in your solution. And again, we talked about it earlier on. Not because some Anna is doing this solution, you're gonna go and copy that. No, your solution, it may be the same problem. Again, like the homeless, the issue of homelessness is worldwide. It has been here before we were born. It will still be here. So it's a solution that is, I would say, global. But then now, it's a problem that is global. But now the solution that, for instance, Pastor SHIKU will come up with doesn't mean that I have to come up with the same solution. God gave us brains. He gave us wisdom. And if we lack wisdom, like he tell us, you can ask for the wisdom and he will give it to you. So when you are setting that goal, make sure that it's specific to you. Make sure that it's measurable. The M for the acronym SMART, the M stand for measurable. Pastor SHIKU talk about it. You don't want to go and start doing, everything at the same time. Make sure that's achievable. What resource do you have? Do you have a knowledge? Do you have a skill? If you don't, there are people that you could use, because we have to be humble also sometimes. We can't do everything by ourselves. When you talk about purpose, again, like I said earlier on, and Pastor SHIKU talk about it, it may start with you as a vision, but as a leader, you need a team around you. You need people around you. So again, make it achievable. Make it realistic, which is the R for SMART. And finally, make it time bound. Because when you put a timing, a time frame, it kind of like force you now to stay focused. And then also not only focus, but to do some assessment midway to see how is this goal going? Is it successful? If it's not successful, sit back, pause, reassess, and if you need to realign again, or even put it on the side, again, like I was saying earlier on, be humble, because sometimes it may not be the right timing. It may not be the right place. I believe before we started the talk show, Pastor SHIKU and I, we were chatting, and I asked her a simple question, because I don't know if you wouldn't mind sharing it, Pastor SHIKU. But I was asking her because she moved. We are friends on Facebook, and I noticed she's no longer in the Dallas area. So I was thinking, she went in California for vacation, and I asked her, "Oh, how is California?" She loved it. Like, okay, how long are you there for? And that's when I will let Pastor SHIKU reveal what she told me. But that is amazing, because it really lined up exactly with our talk show of today. Again, I will remind those who just took us on. The theme of today is discovering your purpose. Take on a problem and find a solution. So Pastor SHIKU, would you mind sharing what you told me offline about you moving to California and what has been happening?
So I had lived in Dallas, Texas for 10 wonderful years, and I was established and I was stable. But in my prayer time and in constant prayer, I could feel God was shifting me and moving me. So he said, California. And I have no relatives where he was telling me. And here I am established. I have all my ducks in a row. And you know how wonderful it is when you have at least your ducks in a row. So I took a step of faith and I left everything behind, not knowing where exactly I was going. I knew it was California, not knowing what I was going to expect. All I knew is one thing, is that God had led me to California. And when I got here, it pushed me to another level. It opened me up to avenues that I did not know I had and giftings that I did not know I had. I loved to write, but I did not know I could compile writing into a book and publish a book. And the book is going all over, and not just one book, several books. So by that walk of faith, listening to God and saying, I'm just going to do what you've called me to do, it opened up my purpose to another level, to a greater level. It made me go beyond my limitations and my expectations and what I'd been thinking and what I'd been confined to do. It's like I began to spread my wings and fly.
My God. You know, when you told me that earlier on, it really hit me at home, because it took me 20 years back when I was in Africa. I was 27, had a great job, started my business, had a second job. Things were going well for me. But at one point, I heard that still small voice telling me to leave everything, and he will show me where to move. And I remember God leading me to have a map in front of me. And from the map, I pointed France. But deep down in my spirit, I knew that I didn't want to go back to live in France. Then my finger moved to London. Again, I was like, this is not a place for me because it's always raining. Then my finger moved to Canada. Oh, no, no, no. It's extremely cold in Canada. Don't want it. Then I heard clearly United States. I remember when that happened, even me, it didn't make sense because I was 27. And at that time, I was a Muslim girl. Normally at 27, think about it, 20 years ago, you should be married with children, you know, established. I had a great career, but I wanted more. So I did not want to commit into a relationship back home. So here I am now preparing for my trip, not telling anybody. So by the time I got my visa, and I didn't have to go any hoop or, jump over any hoop to get my visa. I went to the embassy, apply, and they called me the afternoon to come pick up my visa. So when I got it, and finally I announced to my mom, my family, even my boss at that time, they all look at me like I was out of my mind. Like, what are you talking about? You are 27 and you want to go to the United States to start all over again? It doesn't make sense. To be honest, Pastor Shiku, I myself, I was trembling inside of me because I'm like, this doesn't make sense, but I got to do it. I was not at peace. I was not at rest. I knew that I had to just do it. Moved here with $300, no family member. Had to move 8 times in 1 year. I stayed with one of my friends for 6 months, and after 6 months, I was on my own, and I was renting, a bedroom in people's house, and of course, most of them, even if they were married, the wife would think like, oh, the husband is having an eye on me, so I will move out. Or if it's a man, he will try to go on, date with me or sleep with me. I will move out. So it was a struggle, but I look back today, 20 years later, I'm like, it was worth it. It was worth it. And the funny thing is, the same people 20 years ago who thought I was, I lost my mind, wanted to leave everything behind to move here. Today, when I tell them that, I feel in my spirit that, it's time for me to go back, in Africa and help my continent, even though I'm American today, they think I lost my mind. So it's amazing. And that's what I was, we were talking about earlier on. When you have a purpose, not all the time will people understand you, but you got to stay focused. You got to keep on pushing. When you have a purpose, not everyone will come and line up with you. There will be a wolf coming in the form of sheep. There will be distraction. There will be sometimes even, discouragement. Time will come that you will, I'm sure Pastor Shiku can relate to what I'm saying.
So much, so much.
Today is beautiful. People look at you like, wow. They see all those books and they think it just, you just wake up and copy and paste it. But you had to go through a birthing process. A birthing process. And before we talk about that birthing process, when you talk about now, that passion that you had for writing, now you turn it into books. Let's talk about your books. Because again, I'm glad that you talk about it, because people can see that this was just not like, something that you just get up and made it happen. You made it happen. So I truly believe that, anyone getting the book will be able to see exactly what you are talking about, and they will be able to relate. Let's talk. Do you have some of your books here that, we can discuss about?
I do have my books. And before I go into my books, I just want to add on what you said. When God just tells you to move and you're making the move, it will not make sense to you. It will not make sense to anybody else. So many times I sat in the room where I was and I would say, God, it doesn't make sense, but I'm here. You told me California. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know about tomorrow, but I'm here. And I said, God, I'm just going to stay here until things begin opening up. So it was not just a nice, lovely, rosy moving to California and the books began, coming. No, there were days when I just told God, this does not make sense. But I am here as you told me. And I even relate to Abraham. He was just told, get up and go. And when God tells you get up and go, you think you're going to get there and find a red carpet and everything in place because he told you and you're walking in obedience.
Yeah.
But you get there and he keeps quiet.
Yeah.
So in those moments where I had no direction and I did not know which way I was going, I thought to myself and I said, I can sit here in this room and worry about how I'm going to pay the next 1 week or the next 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. I can sit here and worry about the money in my account and all my savings draining up. Mm-hmm. Or I can sit here and just write a book, because my worrying is not going to help my bank account. My worrying is not going to help my problem tomorrow. Yeah. But at least if I do something of substance, even if that problem is there tomorrow, mm-hmm. even if my account is drained, at least I have something that I have done mm-hmm. that in the future can help me financially and will impact other people. Yeah. So that's how I began writing. And one of the first books that I wrote while I was in California was Teach Me How to Pray. And this book is a little book. It's intentionally very small, very brief, because I wanted to reach not to the Christians that are in depth in prayer. I realized there's a group of people out there. They love God, they honor God, they respect God, but they will never show up in church. They have something against pastors just because of maybe 1, 2, 3 pastors that messed up or did something wrong, and it gave the whole name a bad meaning. So I would go on Facebook and you find somebody really trash talking the church and saying, I'll never go back to church. Tomorrow they say, oh, look at pastors, look at what this pastor has done. And the next day they say, oh, please pray for me. My mother is not feeling well. Pray for me. I need a promotion. Pray for me. I need to pass this exam. Pray for me. I need to buy a house. Then the next day they post something crazy. They went to a party and they did all these crazy things. And then another day they come and post and say, thank you very much for your prayers. God came through. My mother has been healed. I got the job. I passed my exam. So I sat down and I said, wow, these people, they do respect God. They honor God. They love God. It's not that they don't like God. They just don't want to go to church. Yeah. They just don't want to listen to any pastor. So if I open up a church, they're not going to come. If I hold a conference, they're not going to come. If I go on these specific Facebook groups where they are and go live, they're not going to listen. So I said, they love to pray. What if I write a book about prayer and incorporate scriptures so that when they read the book, they understand when I'm praying for finances, I can quote a scripture and I can say Philippians 4:19, he will supply all my needs according to his riches in glory. So they're able to take their prayer and apply it to scripture, to the word of God. That way, develop a relationship with God through his word. So that is my book, Teach Me How to Pray.
Could you tell us how much is the book in US dollar?
This one is $10.
Okay.
$10, yes. Then there's the devotional on Dominion. So people love to do devotions and there are many devotionals out there. But I thought, why not take one topic and dwell on it for 14 days or 21 days? Because the moment you keep dwelling on something, then you understand. Because today, if I read on Dominion, tomorrow on something else, I'll be all over the place. But if 14 days, I can concentrate on Dominion. By the end of 14 days, I will understand Dominion and I will begin to walk in Dominion. So I wrote my first devotional, Reflections on Dominion. And I also wrote a journal that has quotes on Dominion that people can write. Then just last week, I don't have the physical copies because it just got released last week, is Reflections on Wisdom. This is an in-depth study on wisdom because we need wisdom in our daily lives. Yeah. We need to apply wisdom in our decisions. We need to apply wisdom in our leadership, wisdom in our families. So that is my books. And then the other book is Nuggets for Effective Leadership, is specifically for leaders just to read and reflect on their leadership style. Awesome. So the devotionals are $20. Okay. And then the Teach Me How to Pray and the Nuggets is $10.
So you see, precious men of valor, precious women of valor, you have no excuse. Even if you are overseas, you can still order the book. And would the book that you just got, that got released, be available before the end of the year?
It's available right now. Okay. I just ordered my copies, yes, and I'm waiting for them.
This is great. Yes. This is great. And, you know, it's amazing. Before we move forward, are you also available for like a training, online training? Because like I said, today with COVID, things have changed so much. In case we have viewers that will be interested to host a training with you, how would they be able to join you?
Yes, I do online training now. Thank God we have things like Zoom. So they can contact me through my website. Through my website, there's an email that you can reach me, and there's a phone number. So www.effectiveglobaltraining.com. So you can reach out, email me, and let me know what you want, and we can organize.
Okay. And again, like I said earlier on, all Pastor Shiku's contacts are at the top of the video. So just feel free to email her, call her, or go into her website to book an event with her or to buy those books. And again, if you are a Prime member like me on Amazon, this is perfect. You can still order also the book on Amazon and get it delivered within a couple of days. So we are almost toward the end of our talk show of today. But we touch on so many things. I want us to discuss about something that many people may think like, oh, it is not needed when you talk about discovering your purpose. Between taking on a problem and finding a solution, there is one important step, at least for me, and I've seen it working: prayers. What is your take on prayer, purpose, taking on a problem and finding a solution, Pastor Shiku?
Prayer is everything. You need prayer. You need prayer to help you find your purpose. You need prayer when you find your purpose because you need to navigate these ups and downs. You need prayer. Because in prayer, you bring your requests to God. Mm-hmm. In prayer, God answers you. He leads you and guides you and directs you. In my book, Teach Me How to Pray, I talk about how the disciples, they looked at Jesus and all the miracles that he performed. But they realized one thing: there's something behind those miracles. It's prayer, his prayer life. So they did not say, teach us how to do miracles. No, they said, teach us how to pray. If you want to fulfill purpose, you need prayer. You need prayer to know your purpose. You need prayer when you are in your purpose, because you need to navigate it, because it's not all rosy and beautiful. Just because you found your purpose, then everything is wonderful. No, there's ups and downs. There's discouragement. There's opposition. Yes. So you need prayer. Prayer is very, very important. Before you embark on anything, pray about it. When you embark on it, pray. Keep praying and keep praying. Even when you're done, keep praying. Pray and pray and pray.
Thank you so much, Pastor Shiku, for saying that. Here I'm going to hit hard, especially on us women, because this is where so many of us women are hurting each other's. I would say sabotaging each other's, and by doing so, sabotaging ourselves. What am I saying here? You may see a sister, and I think I touched on that earlier on. You may see a sister doing something, but you don't know the story behind that sister. And that sister is being successful. But you have no clue that this sister, just like Pastor Shiku, has to abandon everything, has to sacrifice everything, has to go through a lonely road. This is why many don't want to go. Discovering your purpose is a place of loneliness. Let's talk about it. Let's be real here. It's a place of tearing. It's a place where you doubt yourself sometimes. You doubt that you heard God. It's a place of sacrifice. It's a place of birthing. And as women, we know that birthing is painful. Birthing is a process. Birthing is a time where you are between death and life. You don't know if you're going to make it, or if a baby will make it, or the two of you will even make it. So it's a place, of where you are walking in darkness to go toward, but you can see the light at the end. So as women, I really want to talk to us women today, our precious women of valor. Let's be careful in wanting to imitate that baby that another woman birthed into prayer. Into prayer. Not only wanted to imitate, but even, sabotaging what that other sister is doing. Instead of coming and seeing how you can help her to achieve, to take care of that baby that was birthed into miracle, which is basically the problem, and then that sister found a solution to it. I know I'm speaking, really deep here today, but I think it's necessary because I've seen it so many times. Women seeing another woman doing something, and because she sees that it's successful, she just wants to get up and then do the same thing. Instead of, helping that sister, no, it becomes like competition now. I want to do like her because I think I can do better. But that's why you are missing it, because we talk about prayer. And that prayer is not just one hit and go. It's a process. It's a time when, a process where you will have to go back from time to time into your closets and seek again your God. So, Pastor Shiku, what do you think about that? Let's talk to our sister. Let's talk to between women. Let's be real today.
In everything, there is a price to pay. And people do not see, they may not see the price that has to be paid. Mm-hmm. They just see the glory. That's why they want to imitate, and that's why they want to sabotage. They don't know that whatever you have birthed it in prayer and fasting. Yeah. There could be nights you've cried all night. There could be days you've gone without food. There are days you've prayed all night. They do not see that. They just see the glory and they want to copy. They don't see what you've given up. Because some of these things come with, you give up something. Mm-hmm. You give up a life where you had all your ducks in a row. Yeah. And you go to a place where you don't even know where to begin. And you don't even have an explanation for anybody. So even when people call you and ask you, what are you doing and why did you do this? You don't even have an explanation. They do not see that. You have to be careful when you're trying to sabotage or copy somebody, because you do not know the price that they paid. They worked hard to get there. They bore a cross, and if you're given that cross, you're not able. Yeah. So you look at somebody and you say, let me do what they're doing because it's good, because it's glorious, but you have not done the groundwork. Mm-hmm. If you look at a building does not just come up. There's a lot of groundwork that is done. So as a woman, don't just look at somebody and admire them. There's work behind the scenes. There's a price that they have paid. There's tears that they have cried. There's things that they have given up. There are things that they have lost. So instead of you sabotaging them, instead of you copying them, just follow your own path. Celebrate them. Follow your own path. And even if your path is almost like what they are doing, design it in a different way so it doesn't look like you're in direct competition with them. Look for a different market. If this person is reaching these people, then you look the other side and reach a different people, because there are so many people in the world that need to hear from us, that need to be influenced by us. So don't just go to where, let's say like where Prophetess Mercy is, and then you're looking for her people. She's selling products to this lady, and then you go knock on that lady's door and tell her, no, buy my products. There's so many other people out there. The world is overpopulated. There are people that need to hear from you. There are people that need your products or what you are offering. There is no need for sabotage because the world is big. So many opportunities out there. But just always remember, there's a price. Nothing comes easy. There is a price. You have to pay that price. You cannot expect to wake up in the morning and just steal what somebody else has and walk in their glory. No. You have to do the groundwork. You have to pay the price. But remember, the world is big. There are so many people out there that you can reach and impact. You don't have to run after the same people.
Thank you, Pastor Shiku. And to our viewers, this is a deep subject. And I will be coming to you in another time about it. Women, let's learn to celebrate each other's. Let's learn to celebrate sisters. My goal is really to break this barrier. And sometimes people think like they try to take advantage of it. And it makes me just smile because I'm like, you don't understand where I'm coming from. You have no clue. Even what I'm doing now, many people call me, oh, I want to do the same thing. One thing that I tell them, I'm the type, I always encourage somebody, especially, another women. I will never try to tell you don't do something that I'm doing or that another sister is doing. But have you really thought of it? Have you really prayed about it? Even me, I come up to tell them, Everything that you see me doing, it is not on my own. I am not creating any of that. And that is truth. All of this is being given to me, in my dream. Every time that I sleep, God will show me, he would give me the name of a program, even the people that I invite, the panelists, the title, the question, the design of a flyer. People think like I have a whole team. But this is a one man, or I should say one woman work. But it takes hours, sometimes working 18 hours a day, 17 hours a day. I have a full time. I'm a full-time mother. I'm also a servant of God and doing also this business. So it takes a lot of my time. It takes a lot of my finances. Because one aspect of leadership excellence for women by women, the nonprofit, is also the humanitarian work. People think that I am just having, this funding coming from left and right. No. I love nice things. I love luxury. I would love to do like those influencers, buying those high-end bags for thousands, but it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice. Sometimes, I'm even over my budget for what I plan to give. But once, I get a call about some issues, I may decide to go, and use my own funding for some of my bills, which people don't know. They have no clue. So they just see the end result and they just want to do the same thing. That's why I make it real with them when they call me. What you are seeing, it was just not done within 24 hours. I've been doing this for many years. But now, last year, God spoke to me now to make it official and just, establish the nonprofits, make it legal. So it's been years of sacrifice, years of giving, years of pushing others women to the forefront, training them, mentoring them. And I will come back, for another talk show about this. Pastor Shiku, we really want to thank you for your time. Any final word for our viewers?
Yes, my final words would be, purpose is not a paycheck. It's not getting a check. If you do, that's fine, but that's not what defines it. Mm-hmm. And purpose is not an award or recognition. Purpose is making an impact and being an influence and transforming lives. If you can do that, even without the award, with a paycheck, and do it gladly and with joy, that is your purpose and you are fulfilling it. And purpose is something that goes on and on and on. You don't do it one day and you stop, one week and you stop. It's something that you do every day. And above all, it's something that brings you fulfillment, and it's something that brings you joy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Shiku, for your time. Again, to our viewer, we are almost at the end of the year, the time of celebration, the time of reconnecting with family, the time of gifting. Make sure that you are going on Pastor Shiku's website or on Amazon. Make sure that this year, the kind of gift that you will give to your family member, to your friend and family, will be gift of learning, gift of knowledge that they can take with them. Even for yourself, even for your children. And that is something that, also it's very important as parents for us to remember when discovering your purpose. If you have children, make sure that, you have that kind of conversation with them so that they grow up learning to, to know that in anything in life, it takes discovering, it takes prayer, it takes finding, it takes seeking. So thank you again, Pastor Shiku, for your time. And I hope that we will see you back on the talk show for another subject, if God permits. Thank you so much again. And we wish you the very best for all the rest of your projects.
Thank you so much for having me on this show. It's been an honor and a privilege. I appreciate you, woman of God. God bless you.
God bless you.